Hey class, it's Ashley, and I'm back with another mentoring moment. And today we're talking about how a recruiter will not save you from a failing job search. I know that for a lot of women, they desire to make more money and have more impact, and having a successful job search, a job search that ends in callbacks from employers, conversations with recruiters, job offers that are paying them at the level that they desire, and a successful job offer is the goal. However, just knowing a recruiter, having conversations with a recruiter, being on LinkedIn where recruiters are, that will not save you from a failing job search. So in today's live, I'm going to talk about some actual real strategies that will help you get in front of the top paying employers and actually leverage recruiters, sourcers, human resource leaders and managers and organizations to advance your career. So if that sounds like a conversation you need to be a part of, you are in the right place, because we're talking today about how to actually court, build relationships, build connections with recruiters across every single industry in a way to actually see results in your job search. So let's dive into this conversation. So number one, the first thing that I want you to know is that when it comes to recruiters, most recruiters are finding and sourcing potential candidates, most talent acquisition managers, most recruiters, most talent sourcers, those kinds of people. Number one, they're finding people on LinkedIn, right? So if you are not on LinkedIn, if you do not have an optimized LinkedIn profile, if you are not sure that your LinkedIn is actually attracting recruiters and employers, you are in a dangerous place, because recruiters live on LinkedIn. That's where they're sourcing their job candidates. That's where they're looking for top talent. And this is across every single industry. I know that for a long time, there were industries where people felt like, recruiting doesn't matter. For a long time in higher education, in healthcare, in the nonprofit space, we felt like, it was all about relationships. It was all about networking, but that is not true anymore. There are recruiters in every single industry, and they are looking for top talent. And in fact, in this competitive job market, they're competing for top talent, right? They're looking for the most highly qualified, the professional with the, most aligned credentials to come in and help them meet their quota. A lot of recruiters, a lot of sourcers, a lot of talent acquisition folks are on a quota. So they want you to be the top candidate. They want you to get the job, right? Like their whole job is to help you get the job. Their whole job is to make sure that they are attracting top talent, that they know top talent, that they're able to successfully recruit top talent and get the most out of those employees. And so in this competitive marketplace where we're seeing a lot of layoffs, where we're seeing a lot of firing, where we're seeing a lot of hiring freezes, right? In this competitive marketplace, you need to learn how to leverage the relationship, learn how to identify talent recruiters, how to build relationships with them, and how to leverage that relationship to position yourself as a top candidate. That is critical, and they live on LinkedIn. So if you do not currently have an optimized LinkedIn page, if you do not have a LinkedIn strategy for sourcing new job opportunities and applying for those jobs, you are in trouble, right? And as a mentor, in addition to all the work that I'll help you do in positioning yourself as an expert, identifying the right opportunities for you, we'll also work on a customized LinkedIn strategy so that you can gain the attention of top paying, highly sought after recruiters so that you can be positioned as a top candidate. And what it means to have an optimized LinkedIn profile is to make sure that on your LinkedIn profile, you are speaking to the exact problems that you have demonstrated experience solving in the marketplace, right? So I think a lot of times when it comes to LinkedIn, we're like, okay, this is an online resume. I will just list on here every job that I've ever had, every duty that I've ever been assigned, and hope for the best, right? And let me know if anybody has ever taken that approach to LinkedIn. I'm just going to use this as an online resume. I'm going to copy and paste everything that's on my resume right on this LinkedIn profile, and I'm going to let, the magic of LinkedIn, the algorithm of LinkedIn do its job, right? Just throw some hearts up on the screen if that's your approach to LinkedIn, right? You're just like, I guess I'll put it out there. Hopefully somebody sees it. Hopefully somebody, contacts me. Or you're like, I didn't even know recruiting existed in my industry. Nobody's ever reached out to me, and I'm just on LinkedIn applying for jobs, right? Like that may be where you are, where you're just on there applying for jobs. You're not even thinking about how you can engage with recruiters to actually show up as a top candidate, right? So right. So I'm seeing some of those hearts come up on the screen. Maybe that's where you are, where you're like, I either did didn't know that recruiting even existed in my industry, or I am using LinkedIn like an online resume, but it's not really optimized in a way that's actually going to help me stand out to top paying recruiters, right? And so if you're in either of those places, one of the things that we want to focus on is moving away from using LinkedIn as just like an online resume. It's not just an online resume. It's not just a place for you to, put at the top of your resume, like LinkedIn here, right? Like we need to make sure that our LinkedIn is actually optimized to attract high paying employers. And that means optimizing it not just to the jobs that you've done, but the outcomes that you've driven. Right? So again, when it comes to optimizing our LinkedIn, it's not just about listing the jobs that we've done, but we more want to focus on the outcomes that we've driven. What outcomes have you driven over the course of your career? What outcomes have you driven over the last 6 months, the last 3 months? What outcomes have you driven in the last quarter? What work have you done that you can start to demonstrate an expertise in, right? That's what we're really focused on in LinkedIn, right? And not only what outcomes have you driven, but what skill sets have you sourced from those outcomes. It's not enough to just say, I worked in project management, nonprofit. You need to be able to say what skill sets you gain from working in those specific industries. Because, again, the recruiter's job is literally to attract top talent. But they are always going to take the path of least resistance. No recruiter wants to try to figure out and piece together if maybe you're a good fit. They want the talent that's already telling them that, hey, I'm a good fit, and let me demonstrate clearly how to you on my LinkedIn, right? And so if that's not a place where your materials, where your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn strategy, your positioning online as an expert, if that's not where your materials and where your expertise is, that's definitely something that you and I need to be working on in the Mentor Me Accelerator, right? Because a recruiter will not save you. They do not have a life jacket or a buoy to pass out to you. They have a job to do in attracting top talent. And there's no question that you are top talent, right? There's no question that you have expertise and skills sets and knowledge that is really helping you be an expert in your industry, right? There's no question about that. But I think that there is a lot of question in your ability to articulate your expertise in front of recruiters, whether that's on LinkedIn, in your resume, in your cover letter, or even your ability to speak to a recruiter actually, over the phone, in a Zoom, or in an in-person interview meeting. Right? So we've got to be able to speak to recruiters. We've got to be able to speak to folks about our skill set in a way that's actually going to make them take notice. That's strategy number one. Strategy number two is that we need to share more publicly about our value than about our needs. I think I see all these posts on LinkedIn lately, and I don't know who is giving these people advice to do this. Like, it's a horrible thing to do. It's a horrible strategy. But I'm seeing like all these posts like, I will get the job. I will get the job. I will get the job. I'm motivating myself to apply for jobs and find the right job for me. And I'm seeing all these like random posts on LinkedIn, and I'm like, sis, like LinkedIn is not a motivational website. Like, it's not like LinkedIn is not the place for you to be sharing your motivations about finding and securing a new job. LinkedIn is the place for you to be talking about the value and the skill set and the knowledge and the expertise that you have to attract top paying employers. If you are using LinkedIn to will yourself into a new job, you're using it wrong. Let me say that again. If you are using LinkedIn to will yourself, to encourage yourself, to motivate yourself into a new job, you're using it wrong. LinkedIn is not the place for you to be bashing recruiters. LinkedIn is not the place for you to be talking about how annoyed you are with the last hiring manager who didn't hire you. LinkedIn is not the place for you to be talking about why these jobs don't want to pay you at the LinkedIn is not the place for that. LinkedIn is the place for you to talk about your value, to talk about your expertise, to talk about what you're good at, to talk about the problems that you solve, to talk about the change that you enact based on your skill set and the value that you can bring to an organization, so that when a recruiter sees your profile, sees your skill sets, sees that you're open to work, that they will want to hop on an opportunity to work with you, to hire you within their organization. Too often, I see very high achieving professional women otherwise being wildly unprofessional on LinkedIn by bashing recruiters, bashing hiring managers, bashing the last person who didn't hire them. I'm like, what recruiter do you think is going to look at that, you bashing the last company that didn't hire you, and saying, oh yeah, I want her on my team? Now, let me be very clear. There are some, recruiters and hiring managers and organizations that are shady, that maybe didn't call you back when you were a qualified candidate, who maybe, didn't treat you appropriately or equitably. But LinkedIn is not the place to be airing out your dirty job search laundry. The group chat. Use your group me for that, sis. Use your group chat. Phone a friend. But LinkedIn is not the place for that. It's time for you to showcase your value, to talk about the outcomes you're driving in your current organization, to talk about the skill sets that you have and how they solve existing organizational problems, to talk about the good work that you're doing, to talk about your philanthropic, work, to talk about your volunteer service in your community. That's what LinkedIn is for. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying put on a front. I'm not saying be phony. I'm not saying be fake, but I'm saying use the tool to get what you want. Use the tool, use the strategy, use the resource to get what you want. You airing out recruiters on LinkedIn, or you on LinkedIn complaining about how you've been applying for hundreds of jobs and you're not finding no jobs, that just make you look like you don't know what you're doing. That just make you look like that you're not a qualified candidate. You complaining about your job search on LinkedIn while recruiters are literally looking on the same website to find top talent? And that's what you're using your airtime for, to complain about your job search? Not my mentees, not any woman that I serve, not any woman who actually wants to find and secure a new role, right? A recruiter will not save you, sis. You have got to save yourself. And leveraging strategy on social media, particularly on LinkedIn, is a great way to do that. But using it as a platform to complain about your job search, that ain't where it's at. And I'm seeing way too much of that. The other thing that you want to do is showcase how the values and culture of the organization where you desire to work align with your own. A lot of these organizations are doing some really great work in affinity groups, in their charitable donations. They're speaking up about public issues, right? If you are looking to find and secure a new job and their values align with your own, share their posts. Say, I love the work that Walgreens is doing around helping, underserved communities get vaccines. Or, I love the work that Deloitte is doing to lessen energy emissions in the climate. Or, I love the work that X nonprofit is doing to, help this community, right? Like, there's an opportunity for you to highlight, to showcase, to publicize how the great work that they're doing in any particular area is aligned with your own values and the things that are important to you. Right? And I think that too often we are just thinking solely about the job, right? Like a specific position. But when it comes to the world of work, when it comes to the world of work, we know that we spend more time at work than anywhere else, right? We spend more time at work with our coworkers, with our supervisors, with our colleagues, sitting at our work computer than nearly doing anything else. We don't spend 40 hours a week doing nothing else besides working. Right? And so if we're going to spend that much time in an organization, it can't just be for a specific job. You want to make sure that this job, that this organization, that this institution has other values that are aligned with yours besides just getting you a paycheck. And let me be very clear. I'm the queen of women getting paid well for their expertise. Right? I care very deeply about women earning a living well, right? About making more money and having more impact, because I know that the world is a better place when women are earning more money. And when it comes to finding and securing a new job, it cannot just be about the salary. It also has to be about the culture and values of the larger organization, because that value and that culture will seep into your experience as an employee. Let me give you an example. I was just talking to one of my mentees, Tracy, today. Tracy completed my Mentor Me Accelerator program. She's an absolute rock star. She secured about a $28,000 salary increase after working with me. She stepped into a new leadership role within a new organization, transitioning from education to nonprofit. So she made that transition successfully. And now she's in a new role. She's in an organization that's very different from her prior organization. And while she really enjoys the work that she's doing in her new role, she's paid at a much higher level. She's starting to recognize that some of the cultural things about this job is very different from her last culture. For example, she sends out, memos or notices or agendas, and nobody reads the agendas. In this new organization, they're like kind of the people where they get to the meeting, they're like, okay, what are we going to talk about today? They're much more of a just-in-time organization than they are like planners and processors like her prior organization. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different approach. It's a different strategy. But if you are the type of person where it's going to drive you literally crazy, if people don't, have agendas and structure, then it don't matter how much they pay you. They still going to drive you up a wall, have you stressed out to the max, have you overwhelmed, and have you not wanting to do the job. And so this is why it's so critical to not just look at the salary for a role, but also look at the overall organizational culture. The way to gain the attention of high-paying roles with recruiters who want to hire you right now is to make sure that there's value alignment between the organization and you as a person. And the way for you to demonstrate that is to publicly share that on a website like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place for you to publicly share. Here's what my values are when it comes to the world of work. Here's what my values are when it comes to, advancing my career. Here's what my public values are when it comes to being a leader in this industry, right? And then look for organizations whose values are aligned with that. Organizations are regularly posting things about their philanthropic work and, the ERGs that they have in their organization. They're regularly publishing that. So it's your responsibility to talk about that and to communicate how to go source that out and publicly reshare that and communicate that so that the recruiter can see that your values are aligned with theirs as well. The fourth strategy, so we've gone through 3 strategies already. Number 1, ensure that your LinkedIn profile speaks to your skill set and the organizational problems that you solve. I think too often our LinkedIns are just a replica, right? It's literally just a replica of your resume. That's not good enough, right? Number 2, we want to publicly share more about our value than our needs. It's not enough to just say well, I need this in a job and I'm looking for this in a job and they better hire me like this. No, you need to be able to speak to you need to be able to speak to your value in being hired in this organization. And then number 3, you want to make sure that you are speaking to those values publicly. You can share articles on LinkedIn. You can share about your values on LinkedIn, but that needs to be a priority for you to make sure you're showing up as a top candidate for recruiters. Those are the 3 strategies that I'm sharing in today's video. If this was helpful for you, make sure that you share this video. This is a great resource for those of you who are job searching and want to get in front of recruiters but aren't sure how to do it. Save this video and make sure you share it so someone else can benefit from this conversation. Thanks so much for watching. Talk soon. Bye.